Welcome everybody to the HRO Sports Betting Podcast. You got Coach here with T coming off a very successful 10-3 week 0 and week 1 record. So congrats T on that. That's awesome. That's putting money in pockets. And we're on to week 2. We're going to talk some of the big games here. And we might provide a little insight a little later on in the week about some of the other games that are outside the top 25 or games that you might have some interest in. But for right now, we're going to focus on that. All right. Once again, moving on to the next game, we're at South Carolina versus Arkansas at Arkansas. And this game is a perfect example of what you have at the beginning of the year and where you feel certain teams will be at and how you've looked at certain teams over their course of their lifetime as a team. Arkansas has been one of those teams where they just tend to underperform. They got rid of a bad coach, a couple years back in Bart Bielema, and I think that would Bert Bielema. I'm sorry, Bert. Anyhow,
such a Wisconsin.
With that being said, I really like South Carolina going into the year. I still don't think they're getting the respect that they're due, and I got a feeling this is going to be a roadie bet between T and myself because I like South Carolina not only to cover, but to win this game, to go to Arkansas and win as an outright dog. And
so we're putting a money line on this one.
Yeah,
so you're taking
I'm taking the money line on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes you got to put your money where your mouth is, and if you're in this business, sometimes you're wrong. I got South Carolina to finish second in the East this year. I think they have, and although KJ Jefferson is a good quarterback, I want to say he's the quarterback for Arkansas. I could be wrong on that. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, you're right.
Spencer Rattler. Love the kid as a quarterback. I think he's the best quarterback in this game. Yes, all you Arkansas fans, you can get on me right now. I like Spencer Rattler. I'm telling you, South Carolina goes in and beats them. And what is that? Hog suey, pig suey, woo, whatever you're doing. You're going to go, oh, my bacon is in the fryer. Take the Gamecocks. Okay. What are your thoughts? Break it down and prove me wrong.
So I also was pretty high on South Carolina going into the year. And talking about not overreacting, Arkansas looked really they looked good against Cincinnati.
Yeah, had a good game.
Covered that 6.5 point line. And for me, South Carolina was on the opposite of that. They couldn't stop the run. They gave up 5 yards a carry and over 200 yards on the ground to Georgia State. They gave up a couple big runs, but for the most part, it was just a consistent. And you being a Wisconsin guy, it was a consistent 5-6 yard. They were killing them. And they gave up 4 yards a carry to the quarterback, which was one of the main kind of points because going up against KJ, who just absolutely beat you with his feet. They could not contain the quarterback. Then on the offensive side of the ball, they struggled. They only had right around 2.5 yards per carry on the ground against Georgia State. They had no real push as far as front seven goes. Spencer Rattler, who we were both high on, did not look good. 22 of 37 threw 2 picks. He was rattled and looked like the guy that lost his job at Oklahoma against a subpar Georgia State team. I agree with you. I thought they were undervalued going into the year, and we'll see if they can bounce back in week 2 here, but it was not a good showing as far as South Carolina goes. As I mentioned earlier, from the Arkansas side of things, they look good. KJ Jefferson, as I talked about in one of our earlier videos, was one of those guys to keep an eye on. That was one of the more underrated, if not the most underrated quarterback in the country.
Yep.
He was
player.
good. 18 to 26, over 200 yards through the air, a couple touchdowns. Had a rushing touchdown on 18 carries, 62 yards there. So he was like their second leading rusher, I want to say. behind Sanders, who's just a big bruiser, 6'2", 230 running back that averaged 6 yards a carry in their game on 20 carries. So for me, this is also a play. I've already got a ticket on this one. I've got Arkansas. I made them over a 2-touchdown favorite. I don't think South Carolina keeps this game all that close. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see and kind of make that adjustment, because if South Carolina would come out and look bad again, and then I didn't downgrade them a ton.
Yep.
As far as the power rankings go, I've got them right around 75th right now, which is down a little bit, but it was more so other teams moving, because some of those non-Power 5 teams, I think it's easier to get some stuff wrong, so make some more adjustments with those teams, just because there's less information that's readily available on those. South Carolina, I don't think that they're ready for an SEC opponent. Especially if Rattler's going to play the way that he did in week 1. He definitely has to be a lot sharper and a lot better if they're going to keep this game even remotely close.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't think either of these two teams are in the category of Georgia or Alabama, but what I do think you're going to see is a very good SEC game. I expect South Carolina to come out and play well, and this is going to be their first early statement game, saying that, you know what, we are one of the better teams. If they do come out and lay an egg, I'll be the first to admit I'm going to have to adjust them, and then that's where your Kentuckys and your Florida creep in and maybe get moved ahead of a South Carolina at this moment in time in the season. But I think this is going to be a good ball game. I think this is a sneaky good ball game. We obviously disagree on this one. That's why there's going to be a roadie bet right here. It's money line. You all saw it. I'll take the outright dog. I will take the outright dog in South Carolina. And yeah, you're getting a lot on this
spread, but you
I put money line out there. I'm not afraid to make that bet. So with that, we're moving on. You're going to have to flip that coin and see who you believe. I'd like to thank everybody for listening in to the HRO Sports Betting Podcast. Once again, we'd like to thank the High Roller organization for giving us the opportunity to bring this insight into the big games that are coming up in week 2 in college football. And I wish all of you the best of luck, and make sure you cash those tickets at the window. Take care.